I'm Pamela Portnoy.
I'm Alexa Marie Anderson.
And no one's okay.
Hey.
We are back.
We are back.
Welcome.
Welcome. And we have a very special guest with us. The lovely Anthony Reda is here to discuss Sonder. Very excited about it. Anthony, last I spoke to you, you were in LA and producing. So what is happening with you right now? I know you started Reda's Digest, which is super cool. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So Reda's Digest is a blog that I started to be a creative outlet, essentially. So last we saw each other, I was in Los Angeles producing television. Then I moved to Portland, Oregon. Just really love Portland a lot. It felt like a good place to be, and I wanted to do whatever I could to make living there work. And so I started working at Salt and Straw, which is in Los Angeles as well. You may or may not be familiar. So it's really good.
We're big.
I have to tell you, so you work at the Salt and Straw in Portland?
I used to work at the Salt and Straw in Portland.
Okay, because I'm going to be honest, like I have, we have listeners in Portland, and I have a dear friend in Portland, and I sometimes send them Salt and Straw. And I'm like, wow, you might know them. So that's really funny.
Maybe if they've ever been to the Division or Alberta locations, I may have seen them. Yes.
Beautiful. I love that. Small world.
Yeah. But yeah, I do not have that job anymore. So I am just unemployed, writing blogs. No more free ice cream.
No more ice cream tastings, because those are my favorite.
So many people had stopped, and then so many people said, "Oh, what are the flavors? What's going on?" I was like, "Oh, I can't. I don't have that access anymore."
No,
darn.
It's okay. We'll be all right. But yeah, just started the blog to try to, one, be a creative outlet, and two, try to connect with people. I've always loved writing and have generally got a pretty good response to it. Also now reading what I've written and kind of like posting a little audio version of that as well, which has been really fun. Yeah, that's most of what's going on. I also work for the Timbers and the Thorns, so still doing sports things
Awesome.
As much as they are happening right now, which is not much.
Yeah.
But that is a little update as to myself. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. Yeah.
Brought a beverage.
Hell yes.
So I remember the end of the year one, and correct, like the big ice cubes.
The big ice cube.
The big cube, yes.
You're showing us up, Anthony. Usually we're prepared with drinks and we're not. Wow.
I don't know. I'm gonna drink it anyway, but I didn't mean to show anyone up.
No, I'm so proud.
Enjoy
That's
it.
Wonderful. That looks delicious.
Enjoy it.
What whiskey are you drinking?
This is a gift from my new brother-in-law. It's from Reno, Nevada. I think it's just called like Reno bourbon, but
nice.
Okay.
It's quite nice.
And you just do it. You drink it straight. You don't put anything in there.
Just an ice cube. Let it melt for a little bit so that it gets a little tiny bit diluted and a little cooler. But yeah, that's it. Like my whiskey neat.
Wonderful. Love that.
Same here. We are the same.
I can tell we're already getting along.
We're already getting along. It's great.
Beautiful.
Oh my God.
Beautiful.
So Anthony, you posted recently about Sonder.
Yes.
On Reda's Digest, which I think is really interesting because I feel like as a person I have experienced it, but I didn't really know what it was.
Should we give a dictionary definition of the word Sonder for the listeners that aren't aware as to what it means? I have it right here.
Oh,
beautiful.
Prepared.
I'm prepared.
Yes.
Sonder it's a noun. It is the realization that each passerby has a life as vivid and complex as your own.
Nailed it. That is exactly it.
Boom.
And boom, drop the mic. Interview over.
I did it.
Yes. And Alexa, I had the same feeling, the same realization, kind of went through having almost the eureka moment of looking around a New York subway train and having just a terrible day, just a really bad day. And looking around and realizing, one, there's someone on this train that is probably also having a terrible day, but there's also someone on this train having a great day or a mediocre day or first day at a job, or they just had great news or bad news. And realizing that I have felt all of those exact same things.
Yeah.
And just this instant, almost a sense of ego death, but the world expanding. Because now suddenly you cannot be as important as you might have thought you were. Because if you truly understand Sonder, you understand that everyone has the breadth and width and depth of feeling and experience that you have.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're not so important if you're an extra in someone else's movie. But also the world is huge now because you can connect with literally anyone, because we all have some sort of, again, if you understand breadth, depth, width of feeling and experience, now you have something to talk about and connect with anyone in the world, which I love.
It's kind of like that you are not alone feeling a little bit too.
Absolutely.
I think the first time I felt it, that's kind of what it felt like to me. Like I was like, oh, I'm not the only one that's feeling like this. There are other people around me feeling the same things, going through similar situations. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Makes the world a little bit smaller in a way.
Yes.
Would you say that it's one of the gateways into empathy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
I think it's such an obscure, and I think it's a fairly new word, but I think it captures the feeling so beautifully, and I really do feel like it's at the heart not only of empathy but of really like what artists do.
Yeah,
it's trying to capture experiences outside of themselves.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's really interesting that you brought up feeling it while you were on a New York subway, because I usually feel it when I'm stuck on the 405 in traffic and I'm just looking at the other ants in the line and I'm like, where is everyone going? What are they all doing right now?
Yeah.
It really kind of puts things into perspective.
Absolutely. Yes. I think it's interesting that you bring up ants, only because I also came prepared with the definition and you nailed it already. And it is a new word. And I originally saw this, it's called the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. It's like it's a little blog page. And the end of it, so you nailed the definition, and then it gets sort of poetic and says, an epic story that continues invisibly around you like an anthill sprawling deep underground, with elaborate passageways to thousands of other lives that you'll never know existed, in which you might appear only once as an extra sipping coffee in the background, as a blur of traffic passing on the highway, as a lighted window at dusk.
That's beautiful.
It's lovely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's just so interesting because I feel like, especially being an actor, like I feel like without really realizing it, I think it's why I like to do what I do, because I like to tell other people's stories and empathize with them. So, and I think there's like a little video that I watched about Sonder. There was like a little, like, did you watch that? I don't know. That sounded like directly from, I watched this little, it was like the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, and it was like a little video on just the word Sonder, and it was talking about how, you're just like an extra, you could be just an extra in someone else's life. And I think about all the people that I've just been like a little blimp in their story. Like, for instance, I mean, Anthony, a little bit like you and I, like weirdly
a little bit, yeah,
a little bit,
yes.
Bringing it full circle.
How'd you guys meet?
That's for another episode. That's for a different episode.
Yeah, probably a different. But we're still in touch, which is super cool.
Yes.
Here we are.
Yes.
Here we are.
And I think that's something, I think being able to have that connection and almost characters coming in and out of your life at different times.
Yeah.
Different chapters. And I think part of why we still keep in touch is because we have a lot in common, a lot of kind of, I know that like first conversation, we talked about some pretty solid stuff. And a lot of similarities. Like we were like it was like a bar that had like vinyl, right?
Sunset and vinyl.
Yeah. And so just being able to, Pam, almost to your point of empathy and being able to understand and see some of another person and be vulnerable enough to share some of yourself, I think is really important and allows some of those real connections.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Do you think that it's more? First of all, my brain is like going in a million different directions. My first thought is, why do you think it's considered a sorrow?
Ooh, it's an excellent question.
Because the way we've been covering it so far, and I'm sure there are, sorrowful elements to it, but the way we've been covering it, it sounds like the loveliest thing.
I believe it is one of the loveliest things. That's why it's my favorite word. So I believe it's a little bit of sorrow because it could be ego death, which is depending a lot on how self-important you feel you are yourself, your own sense of ego, and realizing that you are the protagonist of your own story, but that there are literally billions of other stories that are as important to that protagonist as your story is as important to you. And so that can at first be a little jarring, a little bit, I think, especially, maybe not especially now, but I feel like certainly now with a lot of social media and a lot of curated, like, look at me, this is great. And I'm very important. I have all these likes, I have all these follows. And having that be checked a little bit can be a little bit scary, a little bit sorrowful. But again, I think it really opens up the whole world to a lot more authentic connection with other people.
Yeah. Especially now too, like I feel like I felt Sonder a lot, just knowing that obviously just even as a country, we're not the only ones dealing with what's going on in the world right now. So it's like weird to even be connected to someone that's very like extremely far away from us, so far removed. Someone I've never even met before is experiencing something similar.
I've never sneezed on
Bless
an episode.
you.
I'm so sorry. That was my first one.
There's a first time for everything.
Excuse me.
Yes. Bless you.
Thank you.
She was like, I don't like what Alexa's saying right now. So
No, I literally started feeling the tickle in my nose, and Alexa's saying something so profound, and I'm literally about to interrupt her with a sneeze.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But yeah, it's weird to be connected to people that I have never even met in a way of, I mean, a terrible thing, but still, we're all experiencing it together, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, definitely. I think that might also be some of why it's a sorrow. I think I first felt it when I was having a terrible day.
Yeah.
And having that kind of, when things are bad, a lot of things get stripped away. And it might even be a more poignant word right now, because so much of our own struggles in normal life, we feel are very isolating. It's just me. And in something like this, it is the whole world. We're all dealing with a pandemic. The entire United States is dealing with political division. We all know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so to have that innate and inherent sense of community in a bad context, but we are all going through it. I think it might make it a little more easily accessible.
No, I agree.
I agree too. On the show, we tend to want to dive into emotions in a deeper way. And before the pandemic, we were doing different activities and adventures to kind of lean into it more. What do you think are some suggestions that we could give our listeners for kind of leaning into Sonder? Because I think, it could be incredibly beneficial and kind of mind-opening to lean into it and to try to take a moment. So what I was thinking is maybe one way would be to maybe meditate or to kind of quiet your own self down, travel maybe. What suggestions would you have to our listeners that wanted to experience this?
It's an excellent question as well. I think there might be two ways to sort of approach the same idea. I think one would be to, maybe it is the same thing. Maybe if you go out, maybe you're sitting outside in a park, or I was going to say like a coffee shop or something, but everyone be safe. Everyone be safe if you go out. But if you see someone passing you by, it might be a fun thought exercise to consider them as the protagonist and you as the extra. And kind of the mental game of where's this person going, kind of like what you were saying about being on the freeway. You could do it. You're in your car, you're at a red light. What is the person next to me doing? Where are they going? What are they dealing with today? If I were to talk with that person about the thing that they're dealing with, what would I be able to say to relate to it? And I think if you have some of those maybe imaginary conversations with total strangers that you're not actually talking to, it might open up just to allow your mind the ability to consider what other people are going through. I think is really kind of a building block of empathy. And I think another really good way is call up a friend of yours and ask them how they're doing and how they're really doing. What's going on in your life? What are some struggles? Because I do think, Alexa, to your point, when things are going rough, some of the walls come down and you're able to connect a little better. And so if you call up one of your friends, what's going on? What are you struggling with? It's a very eye-opening question to ask people, which is a lot of the appeal of this show. No one's okay.
No one. Thank you. No one.
Yes, no one. Truly. Yeah.
I've been. Sorry, please.
No, it's okay. It was interesting that you brought up like talking to total strangers, and I'll ask both of you this because I know this for myself. Do you feel like, I don't know, I feel like a burst of energy whenever I have a conversation with a complete stranger. Do you ever feel that?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's interesting. Like you connected with someone that's not normally part of your story. And it's like, I don't know, like I feel motivated sometimes even to like just say like give a compliment or something and start a conversation with someone. I don't know if that's weird, but it gives me energy. It makes me feel good.
Absolutely.
You guys feel that way?
Yes.
I definitely agree.
It made me think of that for some reason. And I was like,
Yes.
Am I alone in that? I don't know.
Oh no, we are all social creatures.
Yeah.
And something that I would do pre-pandemic was, there's a bar down the street from my place. I would go over and just sit at the bar and really just have a beer and either talk to the bartender or someone sat down next to me. Just be like, hey, some sort of conversation starter. Not even necessarily an icebreaker. I remember I sat down. This woman sits down. She brings out a sketchbook and she's sketching. I was like, okay, I'm not going to interrupt like the drawing. Finishes up, closes up. I was like, oh, that was a really nice sketch. Do you draw a lot? She's like, oh no, it's just something that I started. I am, trying to figure out different ways to kind of like find a flow state. I actually do yoga right over there. Do you do yoga? I'm like, no, I don't. But like, if it's right there, she's like, oh, it's like a 30-day free thing. So I was like, oh, cool. So I ended up going to yoga and I didn't ever see her there, but one of the teachers is now one of my dear friends here in Portland. And just kind of being able to open up your life to the idea of being able to connect with someone, and whether it be a 2-minute conversation with a stranger or something that turns into a friendship that can last months or years. I think is important. We're all social creatures.
Extremely. Yeah. And kind of back to the why is it, I don't know, being like, why sorrow, right? I was thinking, you said vulnerability. I feel like Sonder is very connected to vulnerability. And usually when I'm feeling vulnerable, I'm not feeling my best. So maybe that's part of it too. Just, I don't know, thinking about like going back to that. I don't know. That was just a thought that I had. I think it's all connected. And usually when I'm feeling vulnerable, I'm feeling usually sad. to be honest. So, and those are usually the times that I feel Sonder the most too, is when I'm vulnerable. So maybe that could be the connective tissue there. But yeah, interesting.
I think you may be onto something there. Definitely.
Maybe. Yeah.
I was thinking about what you said, Anthony, because everyone is going through kind of a tough time, particularly right now. And, you know, it's sort of, it's like a two-sided coin, because I feel like because we're not really seeing anyone in person, we are having more meaningful conversations over the phone and on FaceTime and things like that. So it does kind of allow for this extra level of connectivity that we didn't have before. But at the same time, because we all are going through a tough time, I almost feel like it's maybe this is just me and I need to work on this, but if I'm feeling like I have a bad day and I call someone up, sometimes I'll fuck up and I'll like forget, oh, like they're probably also having a really fucking bad day and they probably don't want to hear me ramble on about my problems. I should I always try to keep in mind, like, please, now it's your turn. But then maybe I like ate up all the time and then I feel like awful.
I mean,
and then I feel Sonder more.
You're human.
I'm like, oh, well, now I dumped everything and we ran out of time. And it is interesting though, because we're talking more, but does it allow for more empathy? I guess just being more aware that everyone's literally in the shit right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone is in the shit. And I think there's so much to be said for having someone that you can vent to and have it be more one-sided. I think that's incredibly important. I think also maybe the slight difference to where Sonder is involved is a lot of it is one having to do with strangers, and you might not necessarily just like, hi, how's it going? What's your name? Nice to meet you. Let me dump on you for 10 minutes about all the crazy shit that's going on in my life. It's a little bit of that back and forth. It embraces the idea of a dialogue, so that then you can get to a point where, hey, we're close enough to where it can just be a monologue about all the crazy things that are going on. And I think in order to get more and more people able to have more of those dialogues, that's where Sonder comes in. And it's also back to my suggestion of calling a friend. I think being able to do that in a headspace of, if you're asking, what are you suffering from? Or like, what are you struggling with right now? Being mentally able to embrace the possibility that they will just fully brain dump on you for 10 minutes. And so I think being really intentional with asking that question, maybe even beforehand. I've had conversations with people saying, hey, kind of in a tough spot, can I call you and talk about it? And then sometimes, most of the time, my friends will say yes. Sometimes they're like, hey, I'm also like, can't give that bandwidth right now. Which is fair.
Yeah.
Which is fair. Totally. Sometimes we don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing chimes. Are you guys hearing chimes? Or something? Alexa, are you hearing it?
Yeah, I can hear.
Is it like a buzzing?
It's like it's as if like we hit like a metal. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like a sound bath bowl.
Like a triangle.
Oh.
Or like a triangle.
That sounds nice. I think my refrigerator just turned on, but
is that what your refrigerator sounds like? That's lovely.
Not like a sound. No, we definitely want a vibe here in Portland, but that is we're not at that level.
My fridge gives sound baths.
I mean, it's kind of nice. I'm like, oh, I could like meditate to this, like, kind of like, or like those bowls. You know those bowls that they do. What is that called? Anybody
know?
Like a singing bowl?
Like they have it's like a metal bowl and they have the thing, this is like not a stick, but like another.
I know what you're talking about.
It's like a cylindrical wooden, yeah.
And you like go around it and it makes that like continuous noise. It kind of sounds like that a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That
I
sounds
wonder where
pleasant.
that's
It
coming
is.
from.
I can like I can try to unplug my fridge. I had a fear.
Oh, I
No,
don't
don't
want
do
you
that.
to unplug your
No, do
fridge and
not
then your food will spoil. We will deal with it in post,
I-
hopefully.
We will
And if
deal
not, listeners, we're sorry, but enjoy your sound bath.
Exactly.
Um, it really got me thinking, and this might be like going way off topic, but I was thinking about how a lot of the time when stories are adapted, whether they're based on people's lives or, yeah, usually I think when it's based on people's lives, the art, the piece isn't really doing the original justice. And I think that as much as we want to explore other people's lives because of our Sonder, I don't think we ever do it
Truly, no.
enough justice, because we are always going to put our own perspective on it. I don't know. I just had that random
I agree.
off-topic thought.
No one really knows, because you can't get inside someone's brain, right? Like you're never going to really know what someone's thoughts are. So you're always going to you're always kind of assuming a little bit in some way, even if you have, the written journal or whatever. I journal and there's some things I don't write down. So, you know what I mean? Like, because I don't want to remember them.
Sometimes I embarrass myself by the things that I write down. Like, I'll like reread like a journal entry. I'm like, ugh, what are you? Like, what is that?
I'm like judging my own journal entries, which is probably not the point, but whatever.
It's really
definitely not the point, but
definitely not the point.
Very much happens.
Yeah.
Oh, I read through a journal from last year. It was just, it's like, what were you thinking? Why would you do that? Why would you? It's
like secondhand embarrassment. You're like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. I hate that.
Oh, well, Pam, your point to that brought up a question I was going to ask to Alexa, which is, if you are acting, if you're playing a part, you know that your performance goes to the audience and the audience interprets it in their way, right? Is there any sort of, maybe, I guess, how does that feel? Do you ever have a feeling of, I did this performance and I feel one way about it, and maybe you talk to someone after and they bring up something totally different?
Yeah, and Pamela's an actor too, so we can both answer that.
Oh, excellent.
Yes. No, you're fine. It's interesting. I actually had a very recent experience of that, because you think that something is coming across one way and it's subjective, right? I mean, we all know this, but like my best take on something, the director might be like, no, that's not how I saw it. That's not what I want it to be. It's like sometimes your worst take is what they think is it. And so
you're like, can I do this again? Because it was horseshit.
Yeah.
Like, no, it was brilliant.
Yeah, they're like, no, that's it. And you're like, is that what we're gonna use? Because I don't want to see that again. So yeah, it's like it totally, absolutely. You can never really, you can't really gauge how something's gonna come across to someone else, right? Like we all have our own perspective on it, and we're all bringing different baggage to the table at the end of the day. So something I do might trigger a different emotion in someone else than it does in me.
I think about that a lot, because there are certain television shows that I'll watch and I know that they're intending for this particular person to be the hero, and I'm like, this character is absolutely annoying the shit out of me. They are not the hero in my eyes. Like sometimes I'll think that the antagonist is more heroic sometimes. Like it's not that often, but like I think about that because people's mindsets and their own perspectives are just so different. And something that I'll find terribly frustrating about someone's character will be, admired by somebody else.
Totally. Yeah.
I like to talk about sometimes. This is going to be another random one, and I don't know if it'll spur any thoughts. I feel like the concept of Sonder is kind of the antithesis of the, what do you call it? Jeez, I just literally had it at the top of my head. You guys were doing so great.
The all good.
You know that concept of that we're living in simulation theory, that we're living in a video game.
Yeah.
I feel like
simulation theory.
I love it too, but it's funny because your favorite word's Sonder, and I just feel like they're kind of at odds with each other as concepts. Because isn't simulation theory kind of at you're living a video game and everyone else is just kind of like in the background?
Yes.
It's like literally the opposite, I guess.
I haven't
Can
thought
we
of it
get
that
Elon
way, but
Musk on here
we
too?
can Elon,
to weigh in.
You're next.
Yeah.
Maybe to run with that comparison, it's like giving all the NPCs as fully developed backstories as your own. And maybe it could still be a simulation, but for yourself, if you can experience Sonder, now it makes all the NPCs more human, more like yourself. It's almost like in Inception, when Leonardo DiCaprio is sniping in the winter fortress and gets asked, are you destroying parts of his subconscious? And he's like, no, they're just projections. It's like this weird, I feel like that's the most underrated, like underappreciated.
Now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that.
Yes.
That's a great idea. Yeah, that's interesting.
My brain hurts. I'm like,
because we'll never know, right?
Right.
We will never know. I'll never know if Alexa is a fully fledged human being or if she's just part of my video game.
Never know.
I'll never know.
You'll never know.
She's a great, what did you call it?
Robots in Westworld.
I'm not a video game player. What is the
NPC, non-playable character?
Yeah,
Sorry,
is she just like a very like rich and cultured player in my game, or does she actually have perspectives like I do? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
I don't even know. So
she's a
That's
fun
the question
one.
you can't ask the NPC.
Yeah,
because it just breaks.
I do not compute.
She just starts short circuiting. Wow, I loved this topic. Yes. I was so scared because I had to look it up, and because I think I got sent the word along with a lot of other words from the dictionary of obscure sorrows. My friend Jackson sent me, I think, just a list of the words in that dictionary, and they're so beautiful. So I remember hearing it, but then when Alexa told me that you were interested in talking about this, I was like, I'm not prepared. But it's such a fascinating subject, and it really is at the heart of everything that we're talking about on the show.
Yeah. Thank you for wanting to do this and putting it out there, because this is such a great topic.
Before we move on, were there any other thoughts that I know you came like ready to was there anything else that you wanted to elaborate or talk about before we move on to our very important segment?
The only thing I was going to ask is if you two, having put out, both as actors, and then also doing this sort of creative outlet where you're putting some of your own thoughts and ideas and perspective out there, back to the idea of having it be perceived through your audience's lens. What are some positive experiences of something that you may have shared that you then got feedback that was good but unexpected?
I literally just had that experience with you when you brought out the big cube and you kind of quoted our final episode back to us. That's like one of the very few times. First of all, this is the first time I'm meeting Anthony, you guys. So this is the first time someone that like I'm not very close to has like brought up the show. And like when you said that, I'm like, oh my God, like he listened to the episode or watched it. And like just, I know that took place in your house, and who knows what else you were doing that day. And it was just like a total mind fuck. I'm like, oh my God. He listened.
Yeah. I did.
We put something out there that people are listening to.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So yeah, absolutely. I just had that.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting because there's people in my life that I thought would listen that aren't listening. And there's a lot of people in my life that I don't talk to anymore and wouldn't ever think that they would listen. And they've been super supportive. So that was very surprising. You just you know, there's an audience for everything, I guess, but you just don't know who you're going to reach. Right. Or, you know, you just kind of, it's like throwing darts. You're just like,
Yes.
I don't know where I'm gonna end up or go, but yeah.
I think if we like knew like who really like listens to the show, I think it would be very different than like what we assume is going on.
Yeah.
And we'll never know, which is kind of a beautiful thing, but we're grateful to all of you.
Yes.
What about you, Anthony?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I've had a few kind of, it might be people from high school that reach out like, hey, I read that thing that you posted on Facebook. And like, wow, we haven't spoken in a decade. What is going on? That's always interesting. And I think it almost feels like the more nervous or anxious or scared I am of putting something out there, the better the response. And I feel like something that feels very personal and scary for, you know, it's maybe not flattering, or it's not something that a story I would tell at a party. Those kinds of things really resonating with people and getting a response of, hey, I really appreciate you saying that, or you broaching that topic, because it's something that I have thought about as well. I think that kind of experience is really, really rewarding.
Yeah.
I love that. And I'm happy you're having that experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, me too. Sometimes it does feel like throwing darts into the ether blindfolded, and you don't even know if there's a dartboard out there, but you're throwing them anyway. Yeah.
I feel like that with auditions. Whoa, I got really excited. I feel like that with auditions all the time, because sometimes I'll like send one that I like, you know, because I thought that the character like didn't need it, but I didn't really necessarily feel confident about the choice. Like I didn't wear makeup or I didn't wear shoes in it. And I'm just like, whatever, she's more carefree. And like, I just kind of sent it and I'm like, well, there it went, and I'm probably never going to hear back. And those are the ones like I hear back from usually, are the ones that I'm just kind of like, oh, I don't know about that, but whatever, it was fun. Yeah, it's interesting. Throwing darts.
It's almost, I don't know if it's super comparable with auditions, but writing cover letters to jobs, and you'll write 7 or 8 of just feeling like, here's my layout and here's my template, and I just sort of change this. And then the 9th one, you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna like do whatever. And
start telling jokes.
Yeah, you're like, hey, how's it going? Human may concern? No, absolutely not. What's up, my guy? Like, type that out, and then that's the one where someone's like, that was really interesting.
That's when it lands, because it's authentic.
Right.
It's authentic.
Right.
That's, and like sometimes the most authentic parts of ourselves are the hardest things to share. I don't know why, but it is. It's scary.
Well, we're all taught to like, you know, the to whom it may concern thing is like such a beautiful example, because that's like so standard, but like people's eyes glaze over when they see that, because everyone writes that. What up, my guy? I'm gonna read this.
What up, my guy?
Yeah, even if I don't hire this person, at least the next 3 minutes are going to be entertaining.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that.
I haven't actually sent what's up, my guy.
I think you should.
I think I should. That'll be the next one.
Yeah, I think you should. Just see what happens.
Just see what happens. Yeah.
Throw the dart, see where it lands. Let the chips fall where they may. Sorry, I had to do it.
I love it. I'll report back if that works or not.
Please do. Yes.
I have an off-script question before we ask him the big question.
Okay.
What's your favorite salt and straw flavor?
Ooh, that's a good
honey
question.
lavender.
Honey lavender? Nice.
Honey lavender, no doubt.
I just finished a pint of that.
That's mine. That
So
can't
good.
be kidding.
It's the best.
It is
It's
so
the
good.
best. There were 2.
Chocolate gooey brownie is mine.
So speaking of simulation theory and alternate realities, you know how there's the thought of, a lot of people think that Nelson Mandela died in prison, but he didn't. And so there's like a reality where that crosses over. There's another reality where salt and straw has a flavor called ooey gooey brownie. Like a third of the people that would come in be like, I want the ooey gooey brownie. You're like, the chocolate gooey brownie? Like, yeah, the ooey gooey brownie. And you're like, okay, that's all right, sure. That's what you get. But that's another lesser known Nelson Mandela effect.
It's interesting because you don't find it with like more recent events. So that's kind of funny.
This
Yeah,
is
it's weird.
this is the one. Really
Wow.
very strange. But yeah, honey lavender.
I got it right though. It's chocolate gooey brownie.
Oh yeah. Oh, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Yes. You're
That's
right.
right. I know my order.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like had some like 2 days ago.
Yes.
Love it.
Are you gonna ask him, Alexa?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've got it.
You got this.
Anthony,
Yes.
are you okay?
No.
Talk to us. Talk to us.
So I'm not okay in a lot of kind of like I'm unemployed. I'm anxious about so much. I'm overthinking literally everything all the time. And that is not particularly healthy. I feel very isolated in a lot of ways. And so there's a big part of my brain that's like, you're not okay. This is not okay. The flip side of that is I am more than okay. I am healthy. I am loved. I am able to do these creative endeavors. I can take a lot of time and intention to find a next career path that really feels fulfilling. Salt and Straw in pretty much every way was a side job that turned into a full-time general manager gig. And I kind of looked up 6 months in and was like, how the hell did this happen? Like I would call my friend and like, oh yeah, I run an ice cream store. And they're like, is this a joke? Or what are you talking about? And so I think we're all kind of forced into this pause in a lot of ways, but it feels more like a pause. It's not an actual pause. There's still a lot of growth and learning and development that we can do. And I think being able to, at the beginning in March 2020, things were not going well for me mentally, and was able to learn so much. And then also December 2020, things were not going super well mentally. But really being able to, one of my favorite mantras is befriend the present moment. And regardless of what is going on, it is the present moment. And if you can be friends with it, which is the ideal scenario, because if you're an enemy with it, then you're fighting it on two fronts almost.
Yeah.
You're rejecting the reality of what is, and you're actively fighting against it. And that doesn't do any good for you. So no, I'm not okay. but we're both not okay, and we're great at the same time.
I love that answer.
It's so profound. That was
very good.
Yeah.
Very good answer.
Very good answer.
Thank you so much.
Alexa.
Yes.
Are you okay?
No.
What's up?
No. I mean, all in all, I'm pretty swell in the current moment. But day to day, like definitely not okay. Like I am like, I'm like a major overthinker. So I struggle with that all day, every day, usually. Just even with what we do, like even being here right now, I'm like thinking back like 2 seconds. I'm like, what did I say? Was that fine? Not quite sure. I'm
gonna add to that. Before you hopped on, Anthony, Alexa's like, I hope I have something to say. And I'm like, it's gonna be great. And usually it's those episodes where we're feeling insecure beforehand that end up being like some of our best episodes. I'm very pleased with how this went.
That is true. But yeah.
I hope the trend continues. Selfishly, and for you, but also selfishly.
Yeah, no, I struggle with overthinking all the time. So definitely not okay. Definitely not well. But, I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. So here I am.
We all are.
Yeah, we all are. Sonder.
You do Sonder, yes.
Pam.
We're all works in progress.
Are you okay?
No. I am worse than okay and better than okay. Man, I had kind of a rough week. I had a really bad day a few days ago, and I don't know if any of our listeners or if you guys experience migraines, but I got super sick, and when I get that, it lasts about 2 days. And literally all I can do is lie on the floor until it passes and drink water. So I had that for the last couple of days, and I was still kind of low energy today. And then I hopped on here and I knew, I'm like, watch, when you're done with this episode, you're going to feel so much better. And I was so right, because this was an amazing episode. And I'm so happy to have met you, Anthony. Very, very wonderful topic. I honestly would not have thought of this. And I'm kind of dropping this on Alexa. I don't know if she's down, but like, I kind of want to explore all of the dictionary of obscure sorrows now.
We should do it. No, I was going to say, I was like,
and I want Anthony to come back on the show unless he's like,
yes, I will come back anytime. I will come back anytime. Please don't let me drink alone the next time. Oh, that's my
we won't.
If I hadn't had that migraine the last 2 days, I would have a glass of wine right now or a whiskey. But next time you come on, I will have my whiskey with my big cube.
Yes, we will.
Beautiful.
We will have our shit together. But Anthony, you are welcome. You are now a series regular.
Can I be a friend of the show?
Friend of the show.
Yes. Yeah, friend of the show. I love it.
Yes. Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Can you tell our listeners where to follow you and about where they can read your stuff?
Sure.
Time to tell them what to do. Listen to what he says.
Do the plug. So you can find me on Instagram. It is Reda's Digest, REDAS. Digest. I pray to God that no lawyers from Reader's Digest ever finds it. So it can't blow up that much.
Do you think that it's not, I mean, it sounds so similar, but I feel like, it's your name. How
it should be fine. It's my name. Yeah. It's my name.
Yeah.
Did I choose the font and coloring because it kind of looked like Reader's Digest? I can neither confirm nor deny.
It's just, you have good taste. It's clever,
It's clean. It's crisp.
It's really a compliment. It
is, yeah. And then also readasdigest.wordpress.com. If you don't like reading, I read all of them as well. So you can just hit play and listen to my voice if that is your thing. They're obviously written as well. And some of them are a little more interactive. I wrote an essay on the Princess Bride and Wesley, and there are a bunch of YouTube scenes in that one.
I watched them.
That was a fun one to make.
I watched them.
I'm gonna hit that one up.
Yeah,
ASAP.
It's a good time. And then I am Anthony Reda. If you want to follow on Instagram, Anthony J Reda, feel free. That one is more of like the curated version, and Reader's Digest tries to be a little more authentic, but
striving for authenticity.
Yes, truly.
I'm a nerd.
I made a TikTok, which I don't know if that's gonna work out. It's just
keep going. No, keep going. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
Throw
no
the
One's
dart.
Okay has their TikTok up today. Actually, today we just put it up. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Do you follow? So yes,
likewise.
That is where you can follow and find me on the internet.
Yes.
I am not appearing on No One's Okay.
Beautiful.
Yay. Go find him.
And I'm gonna make you come back because this was awesome.
Happy to do it anytime.
Yay.
It was a pleasure.
Yay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.
All right, you guys. That was it, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Oh God, I can't press the button. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all the things. If for some reason you want to see more of us, you can follow us on Instagram at No One's Okay.
And a special thanks to Jordan Ross Weinhold, Sean Moore, Jason Crow, Claire Palmer, Jackson Palmer, Tiffany Haymoff, Shane Rings, James Liddell, and our podcast is recorded at Soundworks Studios.
We can't wait to meet you!
Bye.